Introduction. Tarun is at his friend Kunal's place. Kunal's mother is preparing some lemonade for him. She squeezes some lemon juice in a glass of water, adds sugar and ice cubes, and serves it to him. He can see no traces of sugar and lemon juice in the water. He sees the ice cube floating on the top. He is amused to see that different substances have different characteristics. In this lesson, we will learn about the properties possessed by different materials. Let us perform a small activity to understand the concept of hardness or softness of material. Take a sponge soaked in water. Now take a stone drenched in water. Try to squeeze both to remove water. Which of the two are you able to squeeze? Of course, sponge. Can you squeeze the stone? You cannot. Objects that are difficult to compress are called hard objects. Objects that are easy to compress are called soft objects. Payal's brother comes back home after a football match. He is drenched in sweat. Her mother takes a glass of water, adds a spoonful of glucose, and gives it to him for instant energy. Payal notices one thing. Glucose dissolves in water instantaneously. She decides to experiment with some other substances. She observes that some substances dissolve easily in water, like salt, sugar, etc. She also notices that some substances do not dissolve in water, such as coconut oil, mustard oil, stone, marbles, etc. Substances that dissolve easily in water are called soluble substances. Substances that do not dissolve in water are called insoluble substances. Some gases are also soluble in water, such as oxygen. Oxygen dissolved in water helps aquatic animals survive. It has rained heavily, and a huge puddle has formed in front of Prachi's house. She is very excited. She first throws a stone. It disappears inside the puddle. Then she throws a leaf. It starts floating. Do you know why? The stone sinks because it's heavy. The leaf remains afloat because it is light. Thus, objects can be classified on the basis of their floatability in water. Ashish's father took him to an ice cream parlor one day. He asked Ashish to choose a flavor. Ashish decided to take a look. The ice creams were placed in a refrigerator with glass tops. Ashish could very easily choose a flavor without any assistance from the person at the counter. Can you say why? Since the refrigerator had glass tops and glass is transparent, Ashish could look at all the flavors that were available in the parlor and make his selection. A transparent substance is a substance that allows all light to pass through it. In other words, it absorbs light, reflecting back very little. As a result, it appears clear and things can be seen through it. Other examples of transparent substances are water, air, plastic, etc. Can you see what is happening in a closed room? No? Do you know why? It is because the walls and doors of the room are opaque. An opaque substance is a substance that does not allow light to pass through it. In other words, it is impenetrable by light. It does not absorb light. Instead, it reflects light back. Hence, we cannot see things through an opaque substance. For example, we cannot say what is kept in a closed wooden box or a metal container, as wood and metal are opaque. Rekha is getting ready to embroider a handkerchief. She has located a pattern in a book. She wants the same on her handkerchief. She uses a tracing paper to copy the pattern from the book onto her hanky. Now she is all set to embroider. What made this embroidery possible was the translucent tracing paper. A translucent substance is a substance that has the characteristics of both transparent and opaque substances. While it absorbs some light, it reflects back the rest. The absorbed light is transmitted in a scattered or diffused manner. Other examples of translucent substances are paper, paraffin wax, greased paper, etc. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learned. Some materials are hard, while some others are soft. Some are soluble in water, some others are not. Some materials float in water, some others sink. Some materials are transparent, some are opaque, and some others are translucent. A transparent substance is a substance that allows light to pass through it. An opaque substance is a substance that does not allow light to pass through it. A translucent substance is a substance which is partially transparent and allows light to pass through it in a diffused manner.
Introduction. Teacher, here are sweets for the new car we just bought. Congratulations, Sanjay. Thank you for the sweets. So, you will now be traveling to school in your new car?
Yes, teacher. My father will drop me to school every morning in the new car and then I will take the school bus home.
Very good, Sanjay. We all travel every day to come to school. Some of us come by bus, some by the school bus, and some by their own cars. But have you thought about what was used by people earlier to travel from one place to another?
Bullock carts and tongas.
Good. Let us look at some modes of transport used in the early days. Children, in this lesson, we will learn about the various modes of transport and also about the measurement of distance along with the types of motions. Modes of transport. Have you wondered how people travelled in the earlier days? In the early days, people have always used animals to travel from one place to another. For example, bullock cart, horse cart, etc. Can you imagine using a bullock cart to come to school every day now? Nowadays, we have progressed and we have learnt we can use fuel and natural resources to create better modes of transport. As you can see, hence we now have cars, buses, roads, railways, motorbikes, aeroplanes, ships, etc. to travel. Introduction to measurement. Do you know how people know how much have they travelled or how much is the length of a leg of a chair? This is done by using a term called measurement. Measurement means comparing an unknown quantity with a known quantity. The known fixed quantity is called as a unit. When you derive the results of this calculation, you get the measurement in two parts. One is a number and the other is the unit of the measurement. You can also calculate the distance of one place to another. For example, the distance from school to your house. Units of measurement. In the early days, units of measurements included the length of a foot, the distance of a step, and the width of a hand. However, these were difficult to maintain as the length of a foot would vary from person to person. To standardize the units, a metric system was put in place. This system is a standard unit of measurement, and the system of standard units of measurement used now is known as the International System of Units, or SI units. The SI unit of length is a meter. Each meter is divided into 100 equal divisions. These are called centimeters, or cm. Each centimeter has 10 equal divisions. These divisions are called millimeters, or mm. To measure distances, we use a term called kilometers, or km. Measuring length. For measuring the length of any object, we need to choose an appropriate device so as to get accurate results. For example, the measuring scale that a carpenter uses is different than the one that is used by a tailor. If these are interchanged, You can imagine the amount of confusion it will cause. Measuring length of curved line. To measure a curved line, the standard measuring tape will not be enough. You will have to use a different mechanism to arrive at the correct length of the curved line. To measure, you will use a thread along the line of the curve. You will use the thread from one end of the curved line to the other end by stretching the thread along the line. After you're done, straighten the thread and measure its length. You will know the length of the curved line accurately. Moving objects. You will notice that there are objects that move when you apply force or are moving on their own. For example, you will see honey bees flying from one flower to another. So also, you will notice that the blades of a fan move when electricity is applied. This is known as motion. It is defined as a change in the position of an object with time. Types of motions. As you know, motion is the change in position of an object with time. The change in its position can be determined through distance measurements. Let us look at the types of motions. Rectilinear motion. It is the type of motion in which objects move along a straight line. For example, march. March past of soldiers in a parade. Circular motion. It is the motion of an object that keeps a constant distance from a point. For example, hands of a clock. Periodic motion. It is the type of motion in which the object repeats its motion after some time. For example, motion of a child on a swing. Summary. Let us summarize what we have learnt. The modern modes of transport used. Measurement means comparing an unknown quantity with a known quantity. The known fixed quantity is called as a unit. In the early days, units of measurements included the length of a foot, the width of a hand, and the distance of a step. The system of standard units of measurement used now is known as the International System of Units, or SI units. For measuring the length of any object, we need to choose an appropriate device so as to get accurate results. Motion is defined as a change in the position of an object with time. There are three types of motions: rectilinear, periodic, and circular.